That's brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for all gathering here today. A little snoring. Just a quick introduction so that you're all aware who we are. My name is Gary Thompson. I'm the chair of the Macaulay Flying Group. On my side here we have Kenneth Bannerman, part of the Airfields of Britain Conservation Trust, and Stephen Poole, who's the official representation from Marham, who's here. I'm very pleased to welcome him here today. So, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, on behalf of the Macaulay Flying Group and in association with the Airfields of Britain's Conservation Trust, I'm pleased to welcome you here to Little Snoring. It's fitting that in the month that the RF celebrate their 100th anniversary, we're here to unveil this memorial to record the significance that this airfield contributed to the 100 Group and the country during the war. And couldn't have ordered better weather, could I? On a beautiful day like today, it's difficult to imagine what this place would have been like in 1943 when it first became operational. And just to put you in the mood, I've picked a couple of things here. I'm sure the men and women who were based here at that time would have been very focused on doing their duty for king and country, as their and their families' lives would have very much depended on it. In 1943, just to put it in context, we'd been at war for 4 years, and the war was still far from being finished. In May, you're probably all aware of this, the Dam Buster raid had just happened in 1943, and in June, the Allies invaded Sicily. And in July of this month, the very big raid on Hamburg was done by the RAF. But going on a year later, during May 1944, just so that you're aware, obviously, must be the war finished in 1945, the RAF reported its worst single day in fighting, and that was on the Nuremberg raid, losing 95 aircraft and 545 men, so a very significant loss that day. In June, of course, we had D-Day. And in July of that month, not many people again are aware, the Meteor jet had its first operational service. It was actually flying before then, but it actually went into operational service in July 1944. Moving on another year, May 1945, obviously we saw German surrender. And during July of the same year, the first atomic bomb was, a successful test was done in America. And in September of that year, Japan surrendered. So you can see in those 3 years, this operational base, quite a lot happened. When the base was decommissioned in 1958, after 15 years of service, squadrons 23, 115, 141, 169 and 515 squadrons had all been based here. And the aircraft they flew were Lancasters, Mosquitoes, Beaufighters, Spitfires, and after the war we had some Vampires here. Today, of course, the airfield is still operational, but now only for recreational flying. And 2 of the runways have reverted back to farming, so they've gone back to their original use. As you will see from the memorial here, and one of the reasons why it's cited here, the main runway is 07, that's still part of the actual original runway, is still operational, it's only half the runway now. And the control tower, where you can see the windsock, is still there, so that is still here. And now with this marker, obviously we'll forever record the significance this airfield has had for the men and women who served here. So for that I'm very grateful, and I'll now hand you on to Kenneth.
Thank you very much. My name's Kenneth Bannerman. I'm the founder and head of the Airfields of Britain Conservation Trust, which is, among other things, the world's first national airfield charity. And we were absolutely delighted and honoured to be here to help unveil this memorial. I'll just make 1 or 2 very broad observations. Gary's naturally covered very well the history. I have been here, our charity is based in Glasgow where I live, and but I have been here many times over the decades since the 1980s, both in a personal charity and also writing capacity. I'm also a published author, among other things. So all our airfields are fantastically atmospheric places, but even by their normal standards, Little Snoring is really right up there, pretty much at the very top. You can always just reach out and grab history here, and it's not just the airfield itself, but it's all the airfield related connections. The church, which is very worth a visit, and you can see the operations boards in there. The wonderful wooden village sign that has the aircraft propeller and the mosquito on it. This place really appreciates this airfield. And I've spoken to so many people over the decades who have very fond memories of this. I must mention as well, you won't have heard of this gentleman, but he's well worth mentioning. We met him a few years ago, and he sadly passed away just over 2 years ago. His name was Peter Garrett. He was a fantastic gentleman who lived in the south of England, but why I mention him in connection with Little Snoring is that he attended one or two of our unveilings, and he was a great help, if nothing else, to the charity. And he, just before he passed away, he attended one of the unveilings at a place, you might have heard of the name in another capacity, called Smith's Lawn near Windsor, famous nowadays for polo. And that was the day, incidentally, that Prince Philip unveiled a memorial, no less, unbelievably. But anyhow, the great news was, for Peter's sake, what a nice man he was, and a brave man, I will explain shortly, that he attended that event and then sadly just died a few weeks later. But anyhow, the connection with Little Snoring is that he always remember when we saw him at Hamble near Southampton a few years ago now, when we unveiled another memorial. He was showing us his flying logbooks, and it was absolutely fascinating to read. But the one thing I noticed especially was that, to be precise, on the 6th of October 1944, which, to put it in quick context, was exactly 19 years to the day before yours truly was born, if nothing else, that he had his flying logbook, and on that day he flew a mosquito from the famous de Havilland manufacturing airfield at Hatfield in Hertfordshire here. And the thing is as well, he could remember more or less precisely, right down almost to the last minute, what he did on that day. Fantastic gentleman. But why I say that in a broader sense is that it goes without saying that we can never ever forget places like Little Snoring Airfield, all the personnel served here, and all the people associated with it. And why I say that is that do what you can within reason to help all of our airfields, whether active or disused, because they are being increasingly recognised as Britain's greatest ever physical assets. A bit belatedly, but better late than never. And that's why they deserve all the help they need, because always remember, by helping all of our airfields, whether active or disused, you're not only helping them and everyone, Macaulay Flying Group and everyone else associated with them, but at a social level you're helping yourselves in all sorts of ways, just in everyday walks of life. So just do what you reasonably can. And just one final point, just minor technical point, just in case there's any very, very slight accidental confusion. When you see the closing date of the memorial, this marks the end of general military flying, just in case there's any slight confusion. Now that's all. But thankfully the airfield, unlike many others, like say for example this other memorial we unveiled at Sedgeford, thankfully this place is very well recorded. I've read all the operations record books and so on, so thankfully it's recorded very well for posterity, I think we can safely say. So thank you all very much for attending, and if you'd like to make any further comments.
No, just on behalf of everybody at Marham, it's an honour to be here. Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
So we'll go and build a... Yeah, sure. I should just say, by the way, that just a quick extra point, this is now the 81st memorial we're unveiling. We're unveiling another one, by the way, at Bungay tomorrow, just over the border in Suffolk. And we're hoping by the end of this year to get nearly 200 memorials up and running right across the UK. So we're going as fast as we can with this, not least to help the surrounding communities and so on. So, and I hope you like this.